Bruce, this is old hat, man. We're doing this over and over and over again. Groundhog Day, Georgia got a commitment. Shocker. It's early July. This is number 4 since June 30th. It's another guy on the line of scrimmage, and they won't get any bigger. That's for sure. Nyier Daniels, 6'7.5", maybe 3/4, maybe 6'8". Who knows? And he tips the scales at 370 pounds. This is a run, man. This is a run.
Yeah, you're on one right now. And certainly Stacey Searles is on one. I think that's really one of the things that has been most prevalent over the last couple of weeks, right? Is Stacey Searles really just building his position up. But Nyier Daniels, what a great pickup for them. A lot of credit to Stacey Searles for the work here, but also the work of Fran Brown and how important that's been. The ability to go up and get a guy out of New Jersey. People may forget this was the school Sydir Mitchell was at last year, one of the top defensive tackles, a big Georgia target in that 23 class. Nyier Daniels, could have followed that guy to Texas and, had a chance to do that. Was supposed to officially visit Texas. Instead, takes his official visit to Georgia, decides to cancel that Texas visit. Writing was kind of on the wall after that went down. But no question that this has been huge for Georgia to have a guy who has those Northeast ties like Fran Brown does.
Tell you what, this was a family battle for this kid. If you think about it, it was a family battle. It was Stacey Searles versus his daughter. Because she is a recruiting.
Kyle Flood versus Fran Brown.
Yeah, there you go. This was there was some familiarity here. There was a little bit of this was like I wonder if they could have got together and played a cornhole at the local brewery for this one. Just throw some bags and see who wins this. But yeah, Stacey Searles' daughter is a recruiting assistant over at Texas, where Stacey Searles has coached before. Georgia won this one. They didn't win the Arch Manning battle last year or the Sydir Mitchell one, even though Stacey wasn't involved with that. Stacey won, daughter 0. I'm sorry, I can't remember now. I think it may be Taylor. So Stacey won, daughter 0. Listen, for me, I hope I'm still getting dubs off of my kids later on in life, but I'm sure it was probably good-natured. The fact that he canceled that Texas visit was kind of the bat signal here, in my opinion. I talked to him. What was it, you think? Maybe the day after, or 2 days after, maybe the Monday or the Tuesday after he got back from Georgia, and the marks were high. He ready to visit a perfect 10. He had a lot of good things to say. But when I talked to him, he was like, "Hey, Kyle Flood's my guy, from Rutgers, and he had that connection up there. Kyle Flood had coached at Alabama, obviously, so there was some buildup, from him going to Texas, following Steve Sarkisian over there. He's a little bit on the struggle bus in terms of Texas kids and New Jersey kids in this class. Georgia's won a lot of those battles. But I thought Texas was going to be a really big factor here. And then he cancels the visit. And then you're like, oh, snap, here it goes. But Florida State, Rutgers, both teams made real good moves here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, I think that what you have to give Stacey Searles credit for, again, in this battle is he won the heads up here for his position group, right? I mean, that was what matters. Now, I'm going to defer to you because I feel like, you kind of taught me the game here. But you're also an O-line guy. When you're looking at Nyier Daniels, what are you seeing from him? I mean, obviously the size is there, the dominance. Most high school kids can't deal with a kid this big, right? So how does he kind of factor in your eyes at the next level position?
Well, I mean, I think he can. I think he'll fit anywhere. Like, I think, it's one of those guys that, hey, listen, maybe tackle is just, maybe at some point his career tackle is just not between his ears, or it's not quite in his physical skill set, even though I feel like I see a pretty good physical skill set there as is. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to is you're looking at a guy who, at worst, you've got to try and run around him. And that's hard to do. It's that Orlando Brown deal. It's that massive human being type of deal you're working with there. And then secondly, watch him pancake guys and then watch him get off the ground. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I think I told Rusty this when Georgia got Michael Looney. This guy just pops right up like an athlete, and that's what you want. And similar to Daniel Calhoun, get that weight in check. Get that weight to 335, 340 at the very most, and you have no idea how good this kid can be. Like, listen, it may not help him at all, but there's a good chance that he gets lighter on his feet and becomes a better football player at that point. And if that's the case, he might be this kid might, I mean, for all we know, and again, I'm not saying I'm not making a player comp here, but I don't know if the kid's going to be Jonathan Ogden or not. Like, I don't know if you just don't know. Once these guys get that weight right and they get down to where they can really move, they can be a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to remember about this kid too, we talk about level of competition, and I know people don't always circle New Jersey as a place that's playing some of the best competition in America. This is Bergen Catholic, man. This is not a typical school. These guys are playing anybody, anywhere, anytime, the way that a St. John Bosco does out of California. We saw him playing Suaro there out of Arizona. That's Keely Ringo's old squad. I mean, these guys are playing top-level teams all across the country. Now, obviously, Nyier Daniels is a lot bigger than almost everybody in the country, so you can't judge it totally off of that. But he's not playing bums, okay? He's got some guys that going up against him that are going to give fits to a lot of top players and seem to be very well holding his own. So I think it's a great pickup for Georgia. And, Stacey Searles, man, like I said, just on a heater right now. It has a chance to do this again possibly tomorrow, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. But has really just reshaped the face of the offensive line room. You had some questions, Malachi Tolliver, you had Marcus Harrison, 3-star guys. That wasn't getting a lot of excitement from a lot of people. Now you go into June, July, you get Michael Uni, you get Daniel Calhoun. Now you got Nyier Daniels in the fold. Can you add a Marquise Easley? Listen, even if you don't get him, and I do think that you look good right now, you've really added some girth to this room and some of the best players in the nation. And what's important about that in my mind is that this wasn't an easy class to do that. This was a down cycle we felt nationally. There certainly wasn't a lot in the Peach State to pick from either. You go and get the top player in the Peach State in Daniel Calhoun, and then you go out and you add pieces from around the country to kind of supplement that. I think that it's a really tremendous job by Georgia here. And Nyier Daniels, a guy that obviously I think they were very, very high on throughout this whole thing. Even once they offered, it seemed like it was pretty consistent throughout. You didn't know how much of a player they'd be given, some of that history with the Sydir Mitchell thing, the New Jersey thing. How was that all going to factor in? Georgia brings him in. And like we saw several times throughout this summer, an official visit kind of seals the deal.
When that Mega Millions hits for me later this week, I'm gonna go give him and Marcus Harrison a business card, and I'm like, hey man, if football doesn't work out, you guys grab yourself a neck tattoo and come stand by my side, keep me safe, okay? Because
these NIL deals waiting for
giant men, okay,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. But so 11.5-inch hands, I believe, is what we're dealing with here with Nyier Daniels. We are talking about a guy, again, it's almost 6'8", 370 pounds, 36-inch arms. His arms are he's got a yardstick hanging off of each, and it's, he's got a yardstick hanging off each shoulder pad there. So that, again, that's elite length there. All right, Roos, this has been a run. This is, what are we talking about now? I've lost count. 4. This is 4 commitments in 7 days.
Yeah.
Excuse me. 4 commitments in 7 days. 3 4-star offensive linemen, 1 4-star defensive lineman, and it ain't over yet. What's coming up?
Well, it's Marquise Easley, and that's one we'll be watching very closely tomorrow. You've got to wonder, how does Georgia factor in? They were left out of that top 3, right? And it caused all this consternation. Everybody, and I don't think it threw a lot of people off of the trail to say Georgia was out of this thing. But listen, Oklahoma's not giving up anything easy there, right? They're going to keep pushing until this is all said and done. And even once once a commitment's made, regardless of who it is, there's nobody giving up on this guy. So going to be very interesting to see how that one plays out. But Georgia, with a possibility of 6 offensive linemen in this class. I did not have that circled on my bingo card going into the 2024 class. Thought maybe if you could find 3 good ones, maybe a 4th guy, that would be a pretty nice haul for you. You got a chance really to really restock this room in a big way. People talk about class separation. Do you want to, put some distance between these guys? No way, man. Take as many big guys as you can, sort it out when they get there, and figure it out. 25 will figure itself out. Get the best players you can right now. Certainly Nyier Daniels and potentially Marquise Easley would be 2 of those guys.
Hey man, if there's anything I used to learn throwing hay bales as a youngster, it may rain tomorrow. So, you gotta cut it, fluff it, bale it, and load it all in one day if you can. Not necessarily that. I mean, if let's don't get inside baseball here, but if you don't let it dry out, it'll mold. But anyway, so yeah, and Marquise Easley, the thing I keep pointing to, dude, is this. Next 24 hours, Oklahoma's going to be in his ear. They're going to be like, say, or Tennessee, or somebody's going to be in his ear, and they're going to be saying, man, Georgia's got 5 commitments. Come play here. Come do this. And we'll see if Georgia can survive that. I'm not saying I've got any intel that suggests he's wavering or that Georgia's sliding here or anything like that. I would pick Georgia right now. But those things happen. They changed at the last minute. Would not shock me at all. Based on everything we know if that happened. But as of right now, I think Georgia's in really good shape. And I've said this many times, I like him the best of all the offensive line guys in this class. And I'll say this about Nyier Daniels as a pardon shot, extremely high on Georgia's board. Would not shock me if I got to get in there and snap a photo of it if he was the number 1 tackle that Georgia liked in this class. Stacey Searles was very high on him from the jump. And we may or may not, thinking we probably will. See you again tomorrow. Y'all take care.